what are you doing? What is it that you are doing? Because that's the question that many of us are not asking. If you're a teacher and you are collecting money to give marks, what is it that is your morality? What is it that you want to give? What impression are you giving to the students you are teaching and you are collecting money? Because once money or sex comes into the marks don't make any meaning anymore. The exam doesn't mean anything anymore. So is that the way you would want your society to operate? So that's the basic questions that many of us don't ask ourselves. Because as I told you, Charles, many of the things that politicians do, they are not doing those things by themselves. It is like we are fighting a war against ourselves. You have a section of the society that is fighting tooth and nail to destroy that society. The educational system is destroyed completely by the people who are running it. Do you understand? So if they budget money for education and the commissioner and those who are in that ministry take the money, don't you see that they are working against the same system that they are given the responsibility to protect? So I think that's the hardest, is to convince people not to work against.
Right. Interesting conversation this Thursday morning. As soon as you can join the conversation on this discourse this lovely Thursday. 0700-1055-1055. You can also call 0700-1055-0000. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the short break. Good morning.
Hello? Good morning.
Good morning, Odaze.
Good morning, Odaze. Happy to hear you.
That's where we are now, isn't it?
Osinisi.
Very interesting narrative. I'm enjoying myself and learning a few. You see, what I think happened was that we did not consider our own values before taking our masters. The elite then is a replacement of our colonial masters. And then we began to raise those that they have apathy, no patriotism, because you've been tell us to believe that one man is more important or more qualified to rule, not lead, rule. And then wrong indoctrination. The new class of Nigeria now, what we call the elite, so to speak, is beginning to see things differently, or clearer, not different, clearer. Now we know that Nigeria as an entity has all it takes to be one of the richest nations, the best in terms of human capital, mineral deposits, payment weather, whatever. Look at the robust population. And yet, the docility of your leaders to take advantage of that, be follow. You begin to wonder, why can't I get these young people? Maybe we have a farm settlement. Teach them how to use these scientific tools for agriculture, since I already have payment weather. And then this scientific things to produce more food and all that. No. Because I want to be there. They have common poor. That is the weaponization of poor. They must take the low so that and he as soon as you're done with that kind of attitude, I think we're going to be a little better. The only thing that can drive us poverty in our country, education, 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 education.
That has collapsed.
If every person is educated, you will see that you have begun to build a nation. I think they're right. We not have it. Yes. We just survived the Civil War. We just got food country, survived the Civil War. We had a military regime. We had everything. What can you do? And that's one issue. The petroleum is, we've done all that before. We don't put a good now. I think if we put on our feet, I think that would be it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Odaze. Following on that, remember in the last two editions, what is stopping the electorate, me and you, demanding that the House of Assembly here budgets 26% for education? They are budgeting 6-7. What is it that is stopping us demanding that? Odaze has emphasized that it is education, and the education we are talking about is the one that has collapsed on the ground. And the apathy and lethargy we are talking about is that everybody is watching it going down every day. Ask me, why is it that the government is more interested in budgeting more money on what it spends on itself, on the people that are representing, instead of budgeting that money in education? Have we heard anybody raising that issue? If we are organizing town hall meetings for the politicians, then in my local government we decide, we go from town to town, sensitize them and say anybody we are voting for will be somebody, a legislator who will be ready to put voice to make sure that more money is budgeted in education. Have you heard anything about it? Year in, year out, they budget the same amount and no improvement. How many new schools have been built? How many new schools have been refurbished? How many teachers have been retrained? The last time I looked, I saw that only one teacher was retrained in my local government. Only one. In Kano East. Only one person.
That's been retrained?
Yes. For a period of, say, 10, 15 years. And I told you that my area, it has the lowest enrollment in education. It has the lowest.
In Enugu? Or
in Enugu, yes. In Enugu as a whole. Enugu has 17 local governments. Kano East has the lowest enrollment because you don't have enough schools. In the villages, you have people who grow up, they don't go to school at all. And then the government will come and stop the private ones who are trying to help, to assist, and stop them from running a school when you don't have enough to go around. So that's our people are sleeping, and that's why I started painting the scenario first that no country around Nigeria will be able to take refugees if this thing collapses. Like one man who wrote some time ago, this house has fallen midnight in Nigeria. And they keep predicting about this fall and we keep wishing that it will not come. I told you, Mali is collapsing. Somalia collapsed. Chad has been fighting for the past 30 years. And Cameroon is now fighting for some years now in the southern part. So who tells you that it cannot happen here? It can. But we can prevent it. This is the opportunity. This seems to be Nigeria's last opportunity to rescue something.
All right, let's take this call. Hello? Hello? Ndubisi from Oka, go ahead.
The problem we have in Nigeria is religion because you will say that in the church, the what they are preaching on is part of the problem they are having because you will say from the time you want them to tell you to the camp that God will do this, God will do that. And we are for God, I'm hoping for God. Even sometimes I pray God will Besides, you know that you see, other times you see a community whereby you are farmer, you know the good, and you are paying for this labor, and when you are farmer, so they will still come and collect money, and when they are telling them that you know the vote, they will look at you and say you are the fool, and don't have money because of the organization, because the mass, the organization that mass is supposed to have, in order to get work, the organization is not coming. When you get in the church, they will say this and say that, and you will carry that on the way. That they will not tell you that the government is responsible for your this and responsible for this. You will look at God, that God will do everything for you. And that's the problem we're having in Africa. We don't wait government to be responsible for lack of all those things. Some will say, go and pray, God will do this. Like the rest of the family now, that will say, God will give you this. God will give you this, and that is not the way. 3 years. After that, even though they are rich person inside the street, part of them church, part of them say, it's God that will give the money. It's God to give the money. That is why people will not repent and say against it, because when they say themselves, Bible says, don't say against this. That is the problem we have in Nigeria, in the whole Africa. And that is my contribution. Thank you.
I think he's making a very valid point here. You know, Karl Marx said that religion is the opium, and opium is like drug. They give it to you and they push you to sleep, and you don't act.
Right.
It is true that people are running to the church. I think it's not because they are very churchos. It is not. It's because government has failed and they are looking for refuge in the church. And to a certain extent, they appear to be exploited also. In the church where they are running to go and get refuge and get succor. So the prayer ministries are booming, but remember St. James, prayer without work. Our people are praying. It's not going, without work, nothing is going to happen. As I said, if you go to a prayer ministry and they tell you that 1,000 people will get work in Enugu, when you don't have industries, you have nothing to, there's nobody who is going to employ you. Maybe 1 or 2 persons might get something, but what the man is saying is true. Our people are using religion as opium. Remember, the white people also did it, the pacification of the lower Niger. So they came with gun in one hand, with the Bible in the other hand. After they have defeated the people, they gave them the Bible, said, please calm down, don't make trouble. God will do it for you. And that is also where the church has to step up its own work. Let me give you an instance. In the Philippines in 1986, the cardinal came out just on radio like this and said the regime of Ferdinand Marcos is finished. Today it will stop. Charles, the man fell down that day. The Cardinal Sin said, every person come out to the street. We are not going to take this anymore. Ferdinand Marcos sent the soldiers, say, kill anybody you saw on the street. And they came back, they said, oh God, there are too many people on the street, you can't shoot. You better look for where to go. The man with his pajamas ran into a plane and went to the US where he died. When the people say it is finished, it's the end, it comes to an end. Unfortunately, in some occasions, blood have to follow it.
But again, roundly, do you think that religion has done more harm in this regard than good?
The answer would be yes and no. Because it is religion that is sustaining the hope. Once you lose hope, you are dead. The people are hoping that however it is, God is going to perform a miracle. But we saw it with the Jews. They went into captivity. Nebuchadnezzar came and chained them on the neck and on the legs and took them into captivity. And they were there for several years. They came back, rebuilt their place, and I told you about how the modern state of Israel came to exist in 1948. They have been praying for thousands of years, and it was only when they took it upon themselves to rebuild their place, to bring their people back, to work. So get up and work for the good of your society. Don't just lament and complain and grumble in your room. What are you doing in that place? I saw some people in some estates, Charles, where there were no roads. I saw young people that are videoing themselves and they are showing, saying this estate is so bad, this road. That is what we want. When you have everyone in the estate coming out like that every Saturday, every Sunday to come and demonstrate, if they do it for 1 month, but you have to be persistent, you know. So religion is helping to keep the people down, and in that sense, it is not good. And also, if religious leaders are not openly being on the side of the poor. I remember Isaiah 62 says, the Spirit of the Lord has been given to me to bring captives out, to open the eyes of those who are blind, to do this, do that. That is the role of the church, is to be on the side of the people, not on the side of the government. And let me tell you something that happened in the past, because this is not just happening in our own time. The French Revolution was a watershed in the history of the French people. They murdered the king. King Louis XVI was killed. Until today, they say no king. And what is it? In France. But the outcome, the fallout of that revolution affected the church. Bishops were killed. Priests were murdered. The same people who were bowing to them and greeting them, prostrating on the ground. Why? Because the people felt that the church was in the side of the government that was oppressing them. Do you get the point?
Right.
So the people were not happy that instead of standing with them, the poor and the vulnerable, the church, the French church, was on the side of the government joining the operation. So what we have to ask ourselves is what the church has to come out and proclaim its prophetic duty and be on the side of the people, and not on the side of the government. They can't be on the side of the government. That will be a negation of the mandate that was given to them by Jesus.
Right. Okay, let's take this call. Hello?
Hello? Sorry, I called back.
Okay.
I mentioned in the previous editions that building Western education schools was forbidden in the North until 1945. So it was on purpose. And when the war ended, you know what happened? The government took over the church schools without any compensation. You understand?
Yeah.
And that is where the problem started, because most of the people who are in the leadership positions now, the older ones, attended mission schools where education was what it was supposed to be. When they took over schools, as Odaze was talking about, what did they do? They ran it down. So they knew, as I said, between 1925 to 1930, the Igbo had overtaken the West in the area of education. And when the Civil War started, the first thing they did was, like Odaze said, kill that system. And I can tell you, Charles, the system is killed. It's killed. I remember as a child when Dr. Ofemwan was Commissioner for Education here in Enugu, and the kind of things that they were doing to the church schools. The process of recruitment of teachers, for instance, how are teachers recruited? I teach in the College of Education. I see my students, they go for teaching practice that was supposed to last for 3 months, Charles. I did the teaching practice myself when I did a diploma in education. And the people who are coming to supervise my students ask them to bring money and go home.
Wow.
Yes. Quote me. They take money from them and go home. Ask them to go home. Or the school will mark for them that they have done teaching practice when they have not done it. What are you expecting them to teach when they come to class? So as he was saying, yes, this is what is happening. If we have not gotten married, let me just go back to part of what that participation could be also. Have you ever gone to the school where your children are going?
Good question.
Good question, yes. Do you know that the Parents Teachers Association can have influence in the school? if you come to, take for instance, come to UNEC and you notice that the soccer way had broken, every place is smelling and you are holding your nose. And 2, 3, 4, 500 parents come together and say that our children cannot be schooling in a place like this. And they make a visit to the vice principal, sorry, what do you call him, VC, the vice chancellor. And as they are finishing, another group is coming and say, why are the soccer ways so broken like this? Our children are going to get infected. Go to that place and see where your children are. Stay outside and hear what that teacher is saying. Go to the lecture hall. Just you go to some school and say people are sitting outside, people are hanging on the windows. Who is admitting the number that is more than the class can take? And the parents are sitting back, they are paying bribes to get their children into the school. It's the parents who are putting pressure on the VC to take more people. You understand?
Right.
So, how are you participating? Are you participating negatively or positively? The Parents Teachers Association can make great impact.
Interesting. We can't take any more phone calls right now because of time. We'll have to preview what we'll have next week. I think that it's one that is quite interesting, just as today's. Reverend?
Yeah. Next week, we'll be talking about the impact of slavery and slave trade in Igbo land. Charles, this is devastating.
I mean, we can even link that to what's going on.
Of course, yes. The Igbo land was destabilized about 100 years before the colonial people took effective control of the government here in Igbo land. It was terrible what happened. The whole system was destroyed. Wow. Now I'm not talking about internal slavery. I'm talking about transatlantic slavery, as they were hunting for people everywhere in the hinterland, destroyed everything. Some people got rich, and the Ogaranyas, as they called them in those days, that people could have a settlement where they keep slaves and they pick them one by one like goats.
Wow. To
go and sell. Perpetrated by our own people. If you know that our people in the US, you talk about Africa, they get angry. You need to ask yourself why. They say, you are the ones that sold us to this place. Fellow Igbo people were selling their own people. So next week is going to be enlightening because there are many things I think that our people don't know about. Just a little before we close,
right.
From my research, slavery existed in all the continents of the world. Slavery existed in all Igbo communities.
Oh.
Yes, if you want, you can come and challenge, come for a debate. All Igbo communities, slavery existed, internal slavery. Internal slavery existed everywhere.
Not the transborder and trans.
No, not the transatlantic slave trade. Internal slavery, and we'll be talking about some ways, about 5 to 7 ways in which slaves could be acquired.
Wow.
So, till next
we're looking forward to it.
Edition.
Right. Next week, of course, would be another fine time with you. So join us. It's going to be every single Thursday from 10 to 11 a.m., just as we have done today. The program, of course, is brought to you in collaboration with the People's Creative Empowerment International, and the Reverend Dr. Tubin Namani has once again educated us on the need to be participating in whatever it is that we are doing, especially in our society, in our family, in our environment. As long as we are individuals that are in the society, we have a huge role to play in the development of our country. Many thanks, Doctor, for coming. We truly appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Charles. Have a nice day.
All right, so we're back next week. My name is Charles. Have yourselves a beautiful